Ah, I didn't see you there. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this week's port story. I hope you all have your port ready for what is sure to be another riveting tale of debauchery, influenced by a delicious fortified wine. Anyway, today's port story, like all the others, has had the names of all parties concerned changed to protect the innocent and the guilty. Tonight the names will be supplied by the book Sir Alex Ferguson, Managing My Life. Here we go. This tale concerns someone who I know, someone named Billy. There we go. Billy was attending a party with several other friends. The party was actually being held at the house of a friend of his named Dandy. Now, it was a fairly large gathering. There were many people there. Billy, being a fan of the fortified wine, decided to bring some along for the party, which began in the early hours of the morning, or very late at night, depending on your view. This is because it was a cast party. They had recently completed a Shakespearean performance. They had bumped out the stage, and the party was going to go ahead regardless of the lateness of the hour. I believe it was 1 in the morning. Anyway, so Billy was there along with about 30 others, and they sat around and they ate pizza and they drank various alcohols, and there might have been some people doing some stronger, slightly more illicit substances, but Billy wasn't involved with that, and I'm not sure Dandy was either. Anyway, no, Billy just got rather drunk. Not unhealthily drunk, or should I rephrase that, not stupidly, dangerously drunk. He merely just got drunk and was merry. So, Billy, who had drank some of this fortified wine, along with regular wine and beer and perhaps shots of goodness knows what, was originally planning on staying at Dandy's house. But the time was about 6 in the morning, and as it was the summer months here in Australia, which for the purposes of this story shall be renamed Scotland, the sun was up and it was a beautiful April day. Billy thought, rather than stay at Dandy's house like Billy had originally planned to, he decided that he would walk to the nearby train station. It was a Sunday, and Billy was aware that there wouldn't be any trains running until 8 o'clock, a couple of hours later, but he figured he'd stagger over, sit down on one of the benches there and wait, and it was probably a good half-an-hour walk, and perhaps he could get some breakfast from a nearby fast food shop. So he bid farewell to Dandy and the few partygoers who were still going at this very late, very early hour, and he left. Now, I wish I could tell you what happened next to Billy, but quite frankly, nobody really knows. For you see, Billy suffers a lapse in memory around this point, and the period between 6 and 9 disappears from his mind. All that Billy knows, the next thing he remembers, the last thing he remembered, before he left, was that he was thinking, okay, I'm going to the train station. Cue 9 o'clock, and he looks up. He is looking up. He can see clouds. Lovely little white wispy ones. And all he can think of is, oh gee, look at the pretty clouds. I'm a lot more horizontal than I should be. Billy sat up, for he was lying down, and he discovered, to his surprise, that he was lying somewhere he shouldn't be. He was lying on the sandy banks of the Swan River. For those of you who aren't aware, in Perth, Western Australia, going through the centre of the city is a large river. This river is called the Swan. People don't normally sleep on the banks of it. Normally, the black swans that live in the river and around it, they live on the beach. And indeed, as Billy turned to his left, he saw 6 large, rather angry black swans. He assumed they were angry, because as he looked at them, they started to indicate their anger. They were eyeing him suspiciously, and then, when Billy started to move, one of their number went, "Ah, ah." Some of the others joined in. Billy felt somewhat threatened, perhaps intimidated, and decided, better get out of here, which Billy did. He staggered on to a cycle path, this being 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning. It was occupied by a lot of cyclists, you know, the lycra-clad kind, cycling around, and he could tell that they were judging him as he stumbled from the beach, dressed in a large black coat and pants and covered in sand, and staggering with the sun beaming down on him. Billy felt jolly rotten at this point, and knew that he was a fair way away from the city centre yet. He was opposite the Swan Brewery, for those of you who are Perthites and interested. Not too far by car, or indeed by train, but when walking, it took around an hour. He followed the cycle path, narrowly avoiding being hit by those lycra-clad Sunday cyclists, before, eventually, he found a kiosk which was set up for the cyclists to use should they get thirsty on their trip. Looking like an oasis to Billy, he ran over to it and pulled his wallet out and went, "I need a drink." The woman who was working inside the kiosk went, "Of alcohol?" And Billy went, "No! No, it's the last thing I want." Billy then informed her that he would like a Coke, a water, and a Kit Kat Chunky. The Kit Kat Chunky and the Coke for general fuel purposes and to try and remove the onset of the hangover, and the waters to sustain Billy as he ventured into the city centre. He eventually did this, caught the train he had intended to catch at 8 o'clock, and got the train home, whereupon, getting home, he ate 5 bacon sandwiches, jumped into bed at roughly midday, and did not emerge again until the evening. There you go, ladies and gentlemen, that was today's Port Story. Remember, as we always say on Port Story, Daily Splatt Port Story, drink responsibly. Today's port, coincidentally, if you're interested, was provided by 8-year-old Tawny Port from Di Bortoli. Recently I had a birthday, and this was a gift given to me by friends of mine, Alison and Michael. Oh wait, their names should be changed too. Susan and Gordon. Anyway, that is all from Daily Splatt Port Story today. Make sure you tune in next Tuesday for another tale of fortified adventures. Until then, gin gin!